Hey everyone, welcome to The Explainer. Today we are decoding a highly important, totally top secret mission. And honestly, the absolute most exciting part about this is that this mission has been assigned directly to you. That's right, we're digging into a really fascinating piece of source text today that breaks down a divine assignment. And it's an assignment that doesn't just apply to adults, but to absolutely everyone, even if you are 10 years old. So let me just ask you right off the bat, did you know you have a secret job? You know, it's incredibly easy to just wake up, go to school, do your chores, hang out with your friends, and kind of think that's all there is to your day. But the text we're analyzing today reveals that your main purpose isn't just that everyday stuff. You actually have a highly specific special task given to you by God Himself. Okay, here's your rapid-fire 6-step mission checklist for today. First, we'll uncover the ultimate mission. Second, not just everyday chores. Third, you are the boss. Fourth, beware the crowd. Fifth, the perfect pattern. And finally, your turn to shine. Let's get right into it.
Section 1. The Ultimate Mission, Your Secret Assignment.
All right, let's dive into the source text to see where your assignment actually comes from. Our source anchors this entire concept on a passage from Mark chapter 13, verse 34. It reads, "For the Son of Man is as a man taking a far journey, who left his house and gave authority to his servants, and to every man his work." I want you to really think about that. Just like a house owner who's going out of town and leaves very specific instructions for his helpers, God has given every single person a job to do. Notice how the text literally says, every man his work. It doesn't say only the grown-ups or only the trained professionals. Everyone has a role to play in this house.
Moving on to Section 2. Not just everyday chores, the true assignment.
Now, we really need to know what this work actually is, right? Well, the source text is super clear on one thing. It explicitly states our primary mission isn't what it calls temporal labor. Back in the day, temporal labor meant planting crops, sowing seeds, and gathering the harvest. But if we translate that to your world right now, today, temporal labor is your everyday tasks. It's doing your math homework, making your bed, taking out the trash. And look, those things are absolutely important, but the text is making a really sharp distinction here.
This comparison perfectly illustrates the difference. On one side, we have earthly chores, fine and necessary for sure, but on the other side, we have the real mission. The source text tells us our actual work is to build up His kingdom and to bring souls to the knowledge of the truth. So how do you practically do that? Well, by being kind to someone who is sitting all alone at lunch, by showing others what Jesus is like through your everyday actions. The text urges us to regard this kingdom building as our first and highest duty. Literally everything else comes second.
That brings us to Section 3. You are the boss, the solo responsibility.
You know, the text focuses heavily on your individual responsibility in this mission. Check out this incredible line from the source. The piety and obedience of others will not save us or be doing our work. Their efforts will never be registered against our names as ours. Basically, this means you are the absolute boss of your own choices. You cannot rely on your parents' good deeds or your older siblings' kindness to complete your mission for you. If your mom helps a neighbor, hey, that's amazing, but it gets registered under her name, not yours. You have your very own personal account to manage.
So the absolutely crucial point here is that it all comes down to the number one. Just one person, you. And why is that? Because the text explains that God has endowed us with capabilities and given us opportunities. Think about it. God gave you a specific personality, specific friends, and unique situations that nobody else on earth has. Nobody else can meet the obligations God gave to you simply because nobody else is you.
Section 4. Beware the crowd. Traps to avoid. Listen, no secret mission is completely easy, right? Every agent faces obstacles. And in this assignment, the absolute biggest trap outlined in the text is the temptation to just blindly follow the crowd. The source warns us specifically about the delinquencies of others. Now, a delinquency is just a big word for when people fail to do what is right or when they make bad choices. Sometimes your friends might pressure you into doing something mean or breaking a rule, but the text is crystal clear. The bad choices of others will be no excuse for anyone to follow their example. You can't just throw up your hands and say, well, everyone else was doing it. That excuse simply won't work on this mission. Let's break down these specific traps to avoid. The source talks about people who associate together to do evil, and who actually think that being in a big group somehow makes them lose their individual responsibility. It's kind of like thinking you're magically invisible just because you're standing in a crowd. But God holds us accountable for every single act that has even the slightest tendency to counteract the work of Christ. And here is the real kicker. The text says, whether they are united with many or with the few, the sin is the same. Being in a group doesn't change the mission rules. So if we can't follow the crowd, who exactly should we use as our role model to successfully complete this assignment?
Section 5. The perfect pattern, the ultimate role model. The text tells us exactly who to look to. It says, Christ is lifted up as the only true pattern, faultless, pure, uncorrupted. Jesus is literally your ultimate instruction manual. When you're trying to figure out how to behave, how to treat others, or how to build your character, you don't trace the actions of your classmates. You trace the pattern of Jesus, because his pattern is the absolute only one without any mistakes.
And the text gives us this brilliant, logical progression for how to do this in real life. Step 1, know Christ. You've got to learn about him first. Step 2, reveal him to others. The text says, if we know Christ, we shall reveal him to others. And then step 3, represent his character. Just as Jesus came into the world to represent the Father, the work he has given us is to represent his character to the world. It is an amazing chain reaction of goodness.
And finally, Section 6, your turn to shine, accepting the mission.
Which brings us to the final phase of our explainer today. The source text emphasizes that now is our time to work, and we absolutely cannot be excused from doing this. The call to action at the end of the text is incredibly personal. It says, Christ says to each one of us, follow me. It's a direct personal invitation. Jesus is asking you, right now, to take up your individual stewardship, to realize that your everyday life is actually a thrilling opportunity to be a representative of something so much bigger than yourself. So, as you go out and tackle your day, whether you're at school, at home, or just hanging out with friends, I want you to remember your secret mission and ask yourself this final, really provocative question, straight from the text. Are we in all our words and actions building up the kingdom of Christ, or are we tearing down? You are the boss of your choices. What kind of builder are you going to be today?